Some viewers may find the following video disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
All right, so it's time to talk about Joe Manchin, that lovely West Virginia senator that just can't figure out which side of the aisle he wants to sit on, literally. So, I mean that quite literally, because if you missed it at the State of the Union, this Democrat senator decided he was going to sit with the Republicans, the same party he tends to vote with a lot of the time, yet he doesn't want to become a Republican. Very, very confused guy, kind of leading you to what you see on the screen right over here. Good old two-faced Manchin, right? So, does anyone remember like what this guy's stance was on Build Back Better? Remember how the Democrats just completely fell apart? They didn't keep the infrastructure bills coupled together. They kept the bipartisan one was supposed to be coupled together with the budget reconciliation bill that was going to be Build Back Better, and then at the last minute you get Jayapal saying we're going to unlink the bills, and Biden's promising us that Joe Manchin's going to vote for this, and we're going to get what we want, and we could trust him at his word, and then just like that, he flips on it. Remember all that? If you don't, let's roll the clip here real quick so everyone can just get their memory jogged real fast. Let's take a look at this.
Right now, the inflation that I was concerned about, it's not transitory, it's real. It's harming every West Virginian. It's making it almost difficult for them to continue to go to their jobs. The cost of gasoline, the cost of groceries, the cost of utility bills, all of these things are hitting in every aspect of their life. And you start looking at then you have the debt that we're carrying at $29 trillion. You have also the geopolitical unrest that we have. You have the COVID variant, and that is wreaking havoc again. People are concerned. I've been with my family. I know everyone's concerned. So when you have these things coming at you the way they are right now, I've always said this, Brett, if I can't go home and explain it to the people of West Virginia, I can't vote for it. And I cannot vote to continue with this piece of legislation. I just can't. I've tried everything humanly possible. I can't get that.
So just to recap, basically, he's tried everything humanly possible, and he can't go home to the people of West Virginia and explain why he would vote for a bill, even if you can find things in there that you probably don't support. And there are definitely some things in there that threw up some red flags for me, but things like universal pre-K child care, when it does take usually the mom and the dad to be able to go to work nowadays to be able to sustain a lifestyle. Both parents usually have to go to work in today's world, so you can't have the mom stay at home and raise the kid like they did 50 years ago, and a lot of women just really don't want to seem to do that. So why would you want to make them, just to be able to have child care? If they want to go out and work, then that's fine. The option is it should either be affordable where they can afford to do it, or have it covered. And there's a couple ways you can go about that, but either way is going to help out working class people. So you can't go back to your community of working class people and explain why you would vote for the thing your party promised people they would do. Another thing, lowering prescription drug costs. That was in there, okay? Lowering prescription drug costs. You can't go back and explain that either. Well, literally, you had that, you and Kirsten Sinema chopped and whittled away at that to where, like, before you even said you wouldn't agree to this at all, you didn't want to go for the whole thing, so they just kept taking bits and pieces out here and there, and they got all the way down to where we're going to lower the prescription drug costs on 10 prescription drugs, which is an absolute joke. And you can't support any of that because you can't go home and explain it to your voters. Well, unfortunately, that just, one, didn't make any sense at all, because your own voters seem to kind of like a lot of what was in that bill. So what would you have to explain? If they supported it, I don't think they would be coming at you with pitchforks and daggers because you voted for something that they liked. That just doesn't make any sense, does it? But what's even worse, this is why I've got the two-face up here. As if we already didn't know this guy was a two-face. Did anyone catch during the State of the Union what Joe Manchin, while he was sitting over with the Republicans, mind you, What did he stand up to applaud for during the State of the Union? If you didn't catch it, because it was a quick little clip, it came and it went real fast, they didn't focus on it very long. If you didn't catch it, take a quick look. Listen to what President Biden is talking about, and look what this clown stands up to applaud for.
Will lower your costs and lower the deficit. 17 Nobel laureates in economics said my plan will ease long-term inflationary pressures. Top business leaders, and I believe most Americans support the plan. And here's the plan. First, cut the cost of prescription drugs. We pay more for the same drug produced by the same company in America than any other country in the world. Just look at insulin.
Did you catch that? Joe Biden literally brought up lowering prescription drugs, and Joe Manchin stands up to applaud. Now, somebody's saying, well, now how do you know that's Joe Manchin? We can't really make out who that is. Are you positive that was Joe Manchin? Are you sure? They really didn't zoom in on his face. How do you know that was Joe Manchin? Well, I'll zoom in. I won't put his name on screen this time. Look at the people sitting around him and then compare that to the picture I'm going to put on screen afterwards.
For the same drug produced by the same company in America than any other country in the world. Just look at insulin.
Uh-oh. Caught. Not that I know necessarily he was trying to hide, but someone please tell me how I or anyone else should put any ounce of trust in a man who wants to stand there and applaud for things he refused to vote through only a couple of months ago. When you had the opportunity to do something about it, you chose not to. You claim you couldn't explain your vote to your constituents who wanted a lot of the shit that was in the bill. You couldn't explain your vote on to them. You had to vote no for it. You couldn't go along with it. And now they bring up things that were in that bill that you wanted whittled down. You didn't want all those things to go through. You didn't really want prescription drug costs to be cut. But when Biden brings it up at the State of the Union, you're sitting with the other party anyway, and you're going to stand up and applaud for it. And there's the picture. Notice who's on the screen. Like, you say, well, maybe he was applauding. How do you know that was him? Like, again, look at who is sitting around the guy that stands up and applauds in the clip. You can very clearly see there is a man with white hair sitting to his... going off of him facing Biden, there is a man that's got white hair on the end of a row sitting to his left. There is another guy with darker hair sitting to his right, which was Mitt Romney. And there was a lady wearing a blue pantsuit sitting in the row in front of him. And look who's in that picture. The same, everything you could see in that clip, you can see in that picture right there, except that one you can actually see his face. They didn't zoom in on his face when he stood up to applaud for lowering prescription drug costs. But it was him. It was him. So, yeah, Manchin Two-Face. Dude is absolutely one two-faced hypocrite, period. There's no defending it. There's no excusing it. When you had the opportunity to vote for things like that, you wouldn't. Now, some might say, well, how do you know that he really wanted the prescription drug stuff cut? Sinema took a lot of money from Big Pharma. Maybe that was what she wanted. Maybe there were other things that Manchin just couldn't hop on board with that could get him to vote for it. Maybe that's what the problem was. Well, maybe, but then I got to question why there's this article right here coming from OpenSecrets.org about who he's taking money from. Let's take a look at that for a minute. So we've got here says, and this is coming from, again, OpenSecrets.org here. A recent investigation by The Intercept revealed that Senator Joe Manchin, Democrat of West Virginia's daughter, worked with Pfizer Inc. in 2016 to monopolize and raise the price of the EpiPen while the company gave generous campaign donations to Manchin. Manchin's daughter Heather, and I'm thinking the name is Bresch. It's Bresch. Was the president and chief executive officer of Mylan Inc., a pharmaceutical company that specialized in generic drugs. The company raised the price of a 2-pack EpiPen from around $124 in 2009 to $609 in 2016. Bresch left the company in 2020 after Mylan merged with Upjohn, Pfizer's generic division, in November of 2020 to form Viatris Inc. Bresch began working at the company in 1992 and became CEO in 2012. Before it became Viatris, Mylan was one of the largest campaign contributors to Manchin's campaigns in 5 election cycles, donating around $211,000 to his campaigns since 2009 through PACs or political action committees and employees. In 2010, the company's political action committee and its employees were the largest donors to Manchin's first Senate run, and Viatris is the number 1 career donor to Manchin, including past donations from Mylan. In Manchin's second Senate election in 2016, Mylan was the second highest contributor to the West Virginia senator, and during the 2010 and 2012 election cycles, the largest donor to Mylan's political action committee was Bresch, donating the maximum amount, $5,000, for a donor to a multi-candidate corporate political action committee both times. Manchin's campaign also received the most money from Mylan's political action committee, $10,000, in the 2010 election cycle. In the 2016 and 2018 cycles, Bresch again donated the maximum amount of $5,000 to the Political Action Committee, but no money from the PAC went to her father's campaign. Her husband, Jeff Bresch, also donated the maximum amount to the PAC in 2018. Well, probably for one reason. He didn't have a re-election in those years except for 2016. So they're not having to give him any money necessarily when he's not running for re-election. They're only going to have to give him money when he does. But it's very clear his daughter's tied in with Big Pharma. They've funneled a lot of money to him over the years. This guy is bought off. He is fucking corrupt. His daughter literally works in Big Pharma, and they have her dead to rights when she jacked up the price of EpiPens. She basically said, not that we need to, but what can we say to justify raising the costs? So this wasn't an issue of, well, we have to raise the costs. It was an issue of, how can we get away with it? What do we need to say to cover up the crime so that we can do this and get away with it and generate more profits for ourselves or stockholders or whatever the fuck? Somebody's getting some gain out of this, but it damn sure ain't the American people. That's his own flesh and blood doing that. And they're turning around and giving money back to him, buying him off, because that's what this system is. It's legalized bribery. They buy off politicians by bribes. That's what was going on here. And then he has the nerve to stand up and applaud at the idea of lowering drug prices when he is one of the key people involved at shooting that happening right smack dead in the ass. He shot that down, and then he's got the nerve during the State of the Union to stand up and applaud for it like it's a good idea. Total hypocrite. Total, complete hypocrite. Joe Manchin, Two-Face. I think I couldn't have done this any better over here. But let me know what you guys think. Should the people of West Virginia trust someone like Joe Manchin? Is he really what a blue-collar Democrat is supposed to be? Because I'm thinking about talking about blue-collar Democrats in a segment coming up pretty soon. My family were blue-collar Democrats. I'm thinking about making a video on whatever happened to them. Let me know what you guys think. If you like this, make sure you hit that thumbs up button. Drop the comments in the comment box down below. If you just found the channel, you like this video, make sure you hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you'll get notifications of new videos. Hope you're all doing well. We'll see you next time right here on the Lone Wolf Podcast. Take care, everyone.